2020 has finally come to an end, and what a year it's been. Was that dramatic enough?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Okay, good.
Definitely.
For me personally, I had some pretty lofty goals at the beginning of this year. Like, I was aiming to record and release 40 songs. So let's see how far I made it. I'm going to take you through every song that I wrote and released this year chronologically from the very beginning until now. My first song this year was released on January 17th, and that one's called Litigation. This particular song is about unmeritorious litigation and about its negative implications on today's society. After that, I was working hard for the next 2 months on finishing a full-length album for my since disbanded project called Kryptonite. This album featured 8 songs of the absolute most bone-crushing, slowest, doomiest, gentle. We dropped our first and only release on April 13th, featuring 8 songs, including The Black Key, The Black Door, Shadow Walk, Abstersion, The Dickens, Abhorrent Bestowal, Precariosa, The Black Ritual. After that dropped, at that point I was pretty into karaoke, and it kind of sucked with the whole COVID thing not being able to go afterwards, but as that was coming to an end for me personally, I was into hip hop stuff, and I decided, hey, why not cover like a Meek Mill and Drake song? So I chose Going Bad, and it ended up going pretty good. So at this point I'm thinking, I've already dropped 10 songs this year, and it's only been 4 months. Why don't I set some goals here? It was around April that I started thinking, I've got a lot of unreleased material, and I've also got a lot coming up that's new material. How do I make this work together? And my answer to that was, I came up with this time traveler concept. So my next objective was to go back in time and release a song in the past, which I did, and that was my 2012 cover of Nobuo Uematsu's One Winged Angel from Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. I originally did cover this song in 2012, but due to limited resources, it didn't get the attention it deserved. So I thought I'd do a proper release for it, and now it's out there. And with the Final Fantasy VII Remake dropping, this seemed like a perfect opportunity. I decided to keep going with this time traveler concept and flesh out more of my discography from the past. So next I focused my sights on this 2-song, I'd call it a double because 1 song is a single, so 2 songs is a double, right? It's called The Debauchery Double from 2013. The first one's about drinking, and the second one's about smoking. I figured this one would be pretty easy, get another 2 songs in the bag. They're both relatively short. Obviously, I felt like Vodnik needed a little bit more attention, so I kept going with it, and next I did Imperial around June 2015. This particular track I'm really proud of. I feel like it's one of the most epic things I ever wrote, and it's like 8 minutes long, so if you want to go on a journey, I personally recommend it. I think it's one of my best, so tell me if you agree. Next I figured I'd do one more of those hip hop track covers for Vodnik, and I chose Panini by Lil Nas X. And that one, oh man, that one actually turned out to be my most popular one so far. I figured I'd go all out for it and drop a little bit of cash on a music video, so it's there looking pretty if you want to go check it out. It was at that point I was working with my good friend Barrington Ellis from my band Control, another project, and he said, let's do a single. So we whipped up this one called Nuclear Winter, and it's going to be on our next album, Control's second album. It was nice getting together, at least so that we could record if we couldn't rehearse because the whole lockdown thing. That one ended up doing really well too. So we've got some solid things in the works coming up for 2021. You could be sure of that. Around the same time as that, I decided to start yet another project, so my third one, with my girlfriend, Adriana Lahach. And she's a really awesome singer, and she can play keyboard too, so I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity for us to work together and make some music. We released our first single called Dreamscape on June 18th, and we released our second song, Heartbinder, on August 31st, about 2 months after the first one. We decided to take it slow at first so that we could really think about like, what direction do we want to go with our sound. And we decided we want to head down towards something that's genty, emo, a little bit pop punk, and I don't know, just something that's nice and proggy and works for the both of us. Adriana is also an amazing visual artist, so she takes care of the graphic design for our project as well as the photography, and I take care of instrumental composition and recording. We make a great team. I feel like now, several months later, we've got a lot clearer of a picture of where we're going to be headed with this project, and we definitely have a lot that's cooking up, so be sure to keep a lookout for that. It's coming up, it's going to be awesome, and we're really going to bring something new to the table. That puts me up at this many songs so far. I've lost count. For the remainder of the year, I decided to put it toward a 5-track EP for Vodnik that I originally wrote in 2010. This was my first EP ever. And back in 2010, I didn't know nearly as much as I do now, so I really wanted to do this justice and have it mark the true beginning of my discography, the way it was meant to be heard. I'll be honest, it did take a little longer than expected, but a few months later, I got all 5 songs tracked, and I sent them off for mixing and mastering. It was also during that period that I was making my earlier videos, trying out this whole YouTuber thing. I don't know if you can equate one YouTube video to one song. They're a bit different, but I can assure you that they both take a lot of effort. And during the process of making those YouTube videos, I actually wrote a country song, and you can be sure as hell that I'm counting that. So if you add that all together, that equals 24 songs total. I'd say that's pretty good. I didn't quite reach my goal of 40 songs, but if you think about that, it's about like one song every 9 days. And that's just kind of, okay, I'll admit it, it's unrealistic. Because when you're writing music and you're recording things, you don't want to rush it. You want to put every little bit of heart and soul you've got into every little piece. Make sure that it's perfect and that it's just exactly the way that it sounds inside of your head. So taking that into consideration, I'd say that 24 songs is respectable. During the course of this year, I've had the pleasure of working with so many awesome people, and I gotta give shout outs. Shout out to Anthony DiGiacomo, shout out to the man Trey Watson, shout out to CJ Alwine, and also shout out to Chris Purvis. All 4 of these guys are incredible producers, and I'd highly recommend working with any one of them. So let's see, what else did I do this year? I put out a bunch of new merch, which you can take a look at right here. I built this whole YouTube channel from the ground up, and I've got 200 and something subscribers now. That's freaking awesome. I got 25,000 plays on one song on Spotify. That's a record for me personally, and I'm going to try to break that next year. I've been curating this playlist called Gent 2020, and I started at the beginning of the year, and now it's at 1,800 followers. According to Spotify Wrapped 2020, I got 41.6 thousand streams this year. Way to represent the 416, Toronto. Also shout out to Jiichirō Naevius and Jennifer Verse. Both of them are quite awesome people who I plan to collaborate with. So at this point I'm sure you're all wondering, what can we expect for Vodnik 2021? Well, lots.
Legendary Vodnik, legendary Vodnik. He makes lots of music, and he gives away things